My name is Brendon Wilson. I'm the Director of Product Management with a company called Nok Nok Labs here in Palo Alto, California. We're focusing on transforming strong authentication, allowing people to use things like fingerprints, irises, and other biometric authentication methods from their phone instead of usernames and passwords to authenticate. We're seeing a broad range of methods of authentication that people want to be able to use. Most people are familiar with fingerprint biometrics, but there's actually new technologies coming out all the time as they mature. So you've even seen devices just this last year having iris biometrics, but you're also seeing things like face, voice, eye vein, even things like hand vein geometry that are coming out. And we expect that you're only going to see those diversify. There'll be more of them, they'll be different, and they'll have different characteristics for the user as well. The way that these biometric authenticators use the TEs in two ways. The first way is in protecting the biometric information that's captured, whether it's captured from a specialized sensor like a fingerprint sensor or from a camera. You want to protect those biometrics because ultimately the security of the system depends on those biometric templates not being compromised. So first they use it for capturing, storing, and processing the biometrics. And second, these authenticators are used in a system called FIDO. And the idea there is that you use the biometric to unlock a cryptographic key. And so protection for the cryptographic key is important for the security of the system as well. And so generating the keys, performing digital signature operations with those keys, and storing them securely is of the utmost importance, and that's where we use the TE. One final place that it's used as well when it comes to the crypto components of a FIDO solution is an attestation key, and that's used to be able to prove to a financial institution or some other organization on the other side of the communication that this is a genuine, insert your type of device. It's a genuine fingerprint sensor running in the TE by a particular manufacturer, all right? Giving someone a strong signal around you're actually dealing with a genuine class of authenticator. A lot of focus has been on fingerprint biometrics. You've seen following Apple, a lot of other people adding that. And so that's certainly the first one that you're going to see is more devices having fingerprint biometrics embedded in them and using things like the TE to protect them. But you're going to see, I think, a lot of different strong authentication methods come out, new biometrics that'll be added to these devices. A lot of it will be devices that are maybe mid-market, that don't have specialized hardware like a fingerprint sensor, and so they need to use something like a camera to capture a face, for example. But they still want the security of a TE to protect, that matching process. I think the final thing we're going to see is a move towards more risk signals coming out of the device. So not just seeing that, did the user match their face, the voice biometric, the fingerprint, but also additional signals about, hey, which finger did someone use? How good a match was that? How many times did the user try and then fail to authenticate before they were successful? These are all really valuable to a service provider, such as a bank on the other side, because it gives them something to drive their risk engine and assess, are they really dealing with a legitimate user? And alter their behavior depending on the risk that they perceive out of that interaction with the user's device. Well, I think the biggest challenge for anyone who's doing something on an OEM device or who's selling into an OEM is getting scalability, right? So nobody wants to build something one-off and then have to go and build it yet again. Being able to have a viable business building strong authentication technologies or building devices is wholly dependent on being able to sort of do something once and then use it everywhere. And that's where the TE, GlobalPlatform, SEs all come into play, as well as other standards like OpenID or the FIDO Alliance standards. So I think beyond sort of the immediate things that are going to happen where you'll see TEs used more often in mobile devices, I think you're going to see the kinds of technologies that are in mobile devices now spread across a whole host of different devices, whether it's a wearable that the user carries on them, whether it's a device that they have within their home. Some of those same security characteristics are valuable in the context of those devices for gaining access to media or being able to gain access to services. And so really what started in the mobile space, I think will get sort of downsized, made smaller, and more ubiquitous. It'll end up in more places than you ever thought possible. It's important to have events like this because everyone's got a different view on their particular part of the security problem, the mobile space, the authentication space, and how all of these pieces fit together. One of the biggest challenges with a global ecosystem is making sure that we aren't all touching different parts of the same elephant and repeating solutions when someone else has already figured out a solution in the past. And so bringing these together, these individuals together, is really important to make sure that we're actually driving towards the same thing. Because the worst thing we want is fragmentation where people are doing things in all different ways. That's not going to benefit either the developers, it's not going to benefit those who are building devices, and most importantly, it's not actually going to serve the user or their organizations to have all of these different solutions out there.